The Digivolution is up and running. Did you see? Did you hear? Did you know what's coming? A Digi Destiny starts today. Let me hear you say.
So this week we actually have some Digi news that's just been announced. At Mega Hobby 2015 Spring, they announced 2 new adventure figures, which is Hikari and Angel Woman, as well as Tekeru and Angemon, and they're pretty cool looking figures. And we also know that there's going to be a 02 Ken figure with Wormmon, Leafmon, and Minomon, I think it's called.
Adventure figures? Is that like an action figure but in a different genre?
Adventure as in the season of Digimon.
Oh, right.
So we also have a bit of follow-up from the last episode. Now, last episode I was explaining the rules of Shiritori, and the audio cut out at some point, and I didn't add in when I was editing the full explanation. But the reason that you can't continue from N is it's not a syllable. It's just it finishes all words, and you can't start with an N. So that's why you can't start with it. There are ones that start with the letter N and go like nani, nune, no, but that's not N. So that's why you lose if you finish a sentence with N in Shiritori.
I will take your word for it. The strange Japanese song game is completely beyond me.
Anyway, we also have a bit of housekeeping. Now, episode 6 might be a little late because it is my birthday weekend next weekend. So I'm turning 8.
How dare you have a birthday?
Saturday I'm busy and Sunday I'm busy. But it's actually a Monday. Monday is a public holiday for us. It's the Queen's birthday. So wasn't it nice for the people of Australia to give me a public holiday just for my birthday? I thought that was pretty nice.
It's the Queen's birthday, so really you should be appreciating Britain, which you do all the time.
Apparently the Queen's birthday, like I was talking to my mum about it. My mum was like, oh yeah, the Queen's birthday is not actually in June anyway. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, but, neither is Jesus' birthday in December.
Yeah, but I guess it sort of just works because it's my birthday. Anyway, so since we have a public holiday on Monday, we'll hopefully get episode 6 out on that Monday. So Monday the 8th, instead of like we have a Sunday release usually. So it'll probably be Monday the 8th in Australia. So depending on where you are in the world, it might be the 7th. But yeah, just some housekeeping is we will be like a day late.
As we know, we know you're all rabid to hear the next episode. We apologize; it'll be one episode late,
yeah, I
one
think
day
we're cool.
late.
Now we have one question which comes from an anon on Tumblr, and they want to know that when we watch the episodes to compare them, do we watch the sub first and then the dub, or vice versa, or do we switch them up? So I watch the sub first, and then I watch the English version, just because like I don't know, it just sort of seems to flow better if I do it that way, just because like the English changes will come more of a shock to me as I haven't previously watched them. What about you, Jay?
I always watch the sub first, and it's very simple. The sub existed first. They translated that over. So that's what the process is. If I watch the English first, you'd be reverse engineering everything when analyzing changes. And the English one, as we've noticed before, and happens in one of the episodes we're seeing now, sometimes they take stuff out. They just edit bits of animation out of it completely, and so you're actually missing out on moments if you don't watch the sub first.
Yeah, and it's also sort of like when you're watching it, you say, oh, I bet that gets edited out, or I bet they changed that some way, so you're sort of looking out for it in the English version.
I get those constantly, where I'm
like the children butts?
Yeah,
we will get to that later.
I didn't think that would survive. And some of the conversations in Japanese are a little bit more advanced, I guess. Like, there's a discussion of inferiority complexes at some point, and I go, there's no way that they bring that over. So yeah, it's because, I mean, the Japanese existed first, and it's a lot more subdued. So you get a much wilder reaction seeing the English second, and the changes are much more drastic that way than if everything seems toned down if you do it the other direction.
Alright, so now on to I Will Show You DigiWorld. So this week for I Will Show You DigiWorld.
It doesn't work. There's too many syllables.
It works perfectly.
No, it doesn't. What?
So I got a suggestion on our Tumblr suggesting that I see how Jay goes with looking after a VPet. So I lent him my version 2 VPet last night, and I chose the version 2 because that was my first one when I was a kid. So that's why I chose that one as opposed to any of the other ones that I had. And so Jay's had almost a full 24 hours with it. What do you think, Jay?
Okay, so a few points on this. This is a small black box with 3 buttons. A lot of it is, it has a countable number of pixels on it, and a lot of it's in Japanese. So I don't actually know what a lot of the words on it say. But as far as the Digimon goes, it's not dead yet. It has evolved once. It slept for I think at least 10 hours at some point, which was good. Uh, and overall, I don't. Okay, I'm sure there's more to it than what I'm seeing, but I actually can't figure out where the entertainment value from this is meant to come from. I can't. It is complete mystery to me.
See, I like them because like you can battle them, and I have this thing called a Digimon Battler, which is like this little figure that you can connect a Digimon pet with, and it fights with it, and it loses. And I just really like how like once you play with it a bit, it starts to evolve, and each time you might get a different one, different Digimon depending on how you raise it. It's just basically Tamagotchi, but you can fight with them.
I never understood Tamagotchis either. The small virtual pet thing, maybe it's just not for me.
Maybe, but it's a good experience nonetheless.
Well, subjectively, good is a strong word.
Well, I have a version 4 and a version 5 running at the moment because the version 5, like, I spent so much money on it, I don't think that I should not use it. I think I should just always use it.
Yeah, the beeping when you're around is very obnoxious and constant.
I can mute them, but
But you
I
don't.
yeah, I don't. So, this week we watched Evil Shows His Face, or Devimon, the Messenger of Darkness, and Sub-Zero Ice Punch, or Clash, the Freezing Digimon.
This is another situation in which the Japanese just do not care about spoilers at all. Like the English tries to put a little bit of mystery in it. It's called like evil shows its faces. Evil's coming, but whatever. Japanese like this is the bad guy. This is his name. This is what he looks like. He's the devil. It just tells you everything in the title screen.
See, I kind of I think that they might have been trying to trick the children into thinking this is what Patamon evolves into because we are shown a silhouette of him in the title card, so it could be the one that we see at the start. So maybe it's a slight trick of the like all the other ones have started with the evolution, so why is this one any different? That's why I think it's sort of like in the
That's
same sort of style as the other one just to trick the children.
that's possible, but I guess there are two Digimon who aren't shown, who haven't been shown yet in the show, who are in the opening, and that's the big devil thing behind the island, being all evil. And I could see how it'd be really interesting if you thought that it was like a bait and switch of, oh, what if, Patamon turns into the bad guy, but you do see the only Digimon that hasn't been shown yet and shown alongside all the other kids' Digimons is this angel guy.
Mm.
And so I think the more logical conclusion is that Patamon just isn't going to be evolving this episode.
Yeah, but like, what do like? Kids might miss that. Kids might like jump to the other confusion. Like, obviously, I
The
watched.
confused conclusion.
Yeah, I obviously watched the English version when I was a kid, so I didn't think about the possibility of that being a thing. But I'm just saying that like that could be the reason why they've put his name in the title and said Messenger of Darkness just to keep that format together.
It could be, although, and that's really interesting if that was the case. But also, Messenger of Darkness doesn't sound very threatening. In fact, it doesn't make him sound like the boss.
Well,
Makes him sound
Devimon, yep.
makes him sound like the guy who works for the boss.
Yeah, well, Devimon just like in the Japanese version at least doesn't seem as aggressive in the English version. I've noticed. Like he was just sort of like, "Oh, do this. I'm evil. Do that." But in the English version, it's like, "Roar! I'm evil. I'm going to destroy you."
He's also kind of a bit stupider in Japanese. Did you
Well,
catch
yeah,
any of that at all?
yeah.
Like I'll get into it later because at the end of the episode when when it becomes clear what his motivation is and why he acts the way he does. In Japanese, he's just kind of stupid, but in English, he's overthinking it, which shows that he's intelligent and he gives people too much credit.
The English version begins with Joe saying how the place could really use a good bus system because they're walking up the mountain just to investigate.
Then you see Leomon, the furry, fighting the orc from Warhammer, and that's just what they are. And it's really weird because this is you know what, they did see the kids right at the beginning, but otherwise, if you saw this, you could almost be fooled into thinking this is a different show. Like this is a weird like Dragon Ball Z style showdown, and then the devil shows up.
And breaks up their argument.
Right. Yeah, and it's well, he doesn't quite break up the argument. He mind controls the furry. Uh, and the like he mind controls the lion, which seems extremely powerful. Like that is unfair, right?
Mm.
And I feel like you need to keep that in mind about how he treats every other situation because he can just do that, right?
Yeah, so it shows that these are two fairly strong-looking Digimon, and they're just easily like controlled by this very evil-looking Digimon. Also, Ogremon sounded a bit like Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls to me.
Well, but this is just oh yeah.
Leomon, you may be mighty, but now you must face me, Mojo Jojo.
It's true. Yeah, the voice acting in the English is really bad. It's really,
Or
really
is it
bad.
really good?
No, it's really bad. Keep in mind that Devimon can do this at will, kind of whenever he wants. Very important.
That sort of begs the question, what if he grabbed one of the partner Digimon and turned the partner Digimon evil?
Yeah,
Like, I would, if I was a bad guy, I definitely want to do that. I'm going to turn their, like, pets against them. And show over and
that's
done.
exactly where I was going with this. Like, Devimon has this really obvious, amazing power that if he just used it like any smart person would instantly win. But instead, when the fight does come, which is in the next scene, he kind of just stands there and is like, "That
Like,
sure
but
is a fight."
they're all digivolved, so I just go up to them, grab the giant cactus or the dinosaur and throw them at them. Like, I don't know.
You don't even need to go up to them. He can phase through the ground and just touch one through the ground. Right?
Bandai, please nerf.
He's
Too OP.
he's super overpowered. He just doesn't do anything with it when he could win instantly.
Mm.
And I don't know, there's something he's designed really well, and his power and his whole deal is reasonably frightening, so that's well done. But it's really undermined when it's like he could just win, but he's not. He's just not doing it.
So after we are introduced to Leomon, Ogremon, and Devimon, we are shown back that the kids are looking out, and Tai is starting to draw a map.
What? Did you say map or mess?
No question, man. You are the dude of doodles.
If you follow that map, it'll lead right to a headache.
It's like, why
The
are your
dude
friends
of
so mean?
doodles. That doesn't even sound like an insult. Like if you're the dude of doodles, aren't you? Like a doodle isn't necessarily a bad drawing.
But like in the Japanese version, Yamato is just saying, "Oh, that isn't very useful at all," and Sora just says, "Taichi never was good at drawing." So like, they're much nicer. They don't insult their friend. They just sort of say, "Oh yeah, I guess he was never really good at that."
But all the kids do that. Like the kids have been doing that all the time. They take shots at Joe. Everyone does that. The only person they don't take shots at is like, well,
Sora?
I guess it's Sora. I was gonna say Mimi because they don't actually take shots at her directly.
No,
She
Matt
takes
does.
shots at herself.
Matt takes shots at Mimi.
Okay. But yeah, Sora is immune. I imagine because the helmet deflects them.
But yeah, speaking of Mimi, there's a great line which I for once actually agree with the English version, but I'll go through the Japanese version first. Why did things have to turn out like this? And then Palmon says, "Oh, Mimi." But in the English version, and I like this because she's finally pointing out something that I've been like thinking my entire like life as a Digimon fan.
I just figured out that these gloves really don't go with this dress. How sad.
So Mei Mei's back. After 2 good episodes of her not being around,
I think it's fair enough, actually.
she is back. Like, it's not related to what's going on.
Why are any of them wearing gloves? They went to summer camp.
It's a good question why they're wearing gloves, and I think they mentioned gloves a few times actually in this.
Maybe it's to do with
episode.
the weird weather. Like they weren't quite maybe they thought there might be some weird, strange not summer weather.
No, they were too surprised by it to have been expecting it.
Mm.
So I think all of the weird weather was happening at the same time, and the narration at the beginning was in hindsight. Uh, and so it just seems like a weird thing. Oh, they're talking about a map, they're talking about the island, and she's just sitting there like, I know important things are going on, but guys, my gloves are brown and my dress is pink. What do I do?
Yeah. So like at least in the Japanese version, she's saying, oh, she's thinking, oh, this isn't good. Why are things turning out like this? So like she's involved in she understands that something bad's happening, but I I guess Mei doesn't like that.
Oh, my notes are all messed up. I forgot to mention. So Devimon is the ruler of the demon underworld in English. Where is that? Is that a place you get to see? Because that's awesome.
I would like to see that.
So there's no demon underworld? There's no demon underworld in the show?
Not that I remember.
But he's the ruler of it. Wouldn't he have minions that aren't gears?
He has Ogumon and Leomon. Like
Well,
I don't like is Ogumon under the control of the Black Gears?
no, he's not.
So he must be definitely a minion. Like
He's just evil. Actually, that's a good question. Uh in the Japanese, I think he's just evil, so he's happy to follow evil. The English can't decide. The English begins with it. Ogumon and Leomon are fighting, and Devimon says, "You're both gonna work for me." Leomon says, "Of course not," because he's a good guy. And then Ogumon says, "I'm not going to either." And then Leomon has his "I'm a good guy" shtick. And Ogumon, having just said, I'm not going to work for you, says, I can work for you fine by myself. I don't need a partner.
see, I think Ogumon's scared of Devimon.
Well, he should be.
Like
They all
yes,
should be.
exactly. Like if someone's gonna force me to do something, I don't want to be mind controlled while doing it. I want to at least be me while I'm doing it.
That's true. And the last thing is that I should have addressed earlier because Devimon mentions it. Can I just say that the Digidestined is a terrible name?
Well, this is the first time that we hear it.
It is. It's the first time we've heard
yeah.
it, and I heard Chosen Children before that. And yeah, that's not amazing, but at least it gets
What,
across
what
what
else
it
are you
needs
gonna
to.
What else are you gonna call them? I like
Not
the name.
goddamn Digidestined.
Yeah, I know. I like the name Chosen Children. Like
It's fine.
they're
It's
chosen.
serviceable. But Digidestined is stupid.
Well, it's Digi, and they're destined to Digi.
Is Digi an action? Like a verb?
Jay, would you prefer Digi dudes?
Yes, I would. Because it would be like a lot stupider, and I can get on board with that. If they were like, oh no, it's the Digi dudes. I would be all over that. Actually, that'd be great.
So anyway, they start walking around the mountain, and they see Leomon, and Leomon attacks them, so they run off.
They have the same conversation when they see Leomon as they've had, I think, the last 3 or 4 episodes, which is, what's that Digimon? Oh, that's insert X name here. Oh, he's the nice Digimon.
He's a good Digimon, but I like how when they turned around and they saw Ogumon, it's in the Japanese version. It's the same sort of thing. It's like, is he a really good Digimon too? And then Gomon says, no, he's definitely a bad guy.
You think by now that the kids would have figured it out and would have just been like, oh, we're you think they'd have some suspicion by now? I don't care whether you say it's a good or a bad Digimon specifically. By now, just everything should be considered evil until proven otherwise. Just be on guard. Don't just be open to every giant thing walking up to you because every single one of them has attacked you.
Yeah, but at least they reference that when Ogumon shows up. Like, they say, no, he's actually a bad guy.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean,
which is kind of turned into a silly moment in the English version because...
He looks hungry to you? We're too small to eat and I'm full of junk food. Well, he's not against a little snack.
They turn, sort of into a sort of reference about how they always meet good Digimon who then start attacking them to a sort of attempted funny moment.
It's funny enough. I liked it.
Yeah, but I like the Japanese version in the fact that they reference, is he a really good Digimon too? No, he's definitely bad.
Yeah, and I mean, look at him. You know, it's one. Some of the Digimon are hard to tell, like Meramon, the fire
Yeah,
one.
Meramon, yeah.
Yeah, he looks super super evil, and so it's hard to tell. And the Numemon,
And Monzemon looked pretty evil.
only because his eyes were open. When his eyes were closed, he's a good guy, because that's character design.
So I guess Brock's pretty evil when he opens his eyes then.
He only does that once.
I've never seen that.
I think there's a picture of him opening his eyes.
Oh god, I'll look that up later.
Oh, I'm glad to have added something to your day. Uh, so yeah, Monzemon otherwise is generally quite like, it's a good guy. He's a teddy bear, so his design isn't evil. And Unimon isn't look super evil, even though he has like a war plate strapped to his face. Yeah, most things, even whether or not they've looked evil, just suspect it. Kids, you've been attacked every day for the 5 days you've been here. Maybe be on guard.
Like I would be.
If I saw one of these Digimon, before they could do anything, I'd just kick sand right in their eyes. Digi-sand. Right in the Digi-eyes.
Sandmon.
Does that exist? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
If you quote any random word and put mon at the end of it, there's like a 90% chance it probably exists.
No, Sandmon's not a real Digimon.
Okay. Where were we?
All right, so they all start fighting Ogremon and Leomon, and then a strange rock avalanche happens that sort of make Ogremon and sort of makes Ogremon and Leomon go away. So I'm thinking that it might be some sort of distraction from the big scary devil that we saw on the cliff.
Yeah, he's just standing there, not doing anything.
Like I would use that moment to kill the children.
Yeah, just murder them. And I think you had some comment about how like, oh, they're all evolved. That's fairly strong, even though they're not, perfect level or whatever. All of them together is quite strong. Okay. That said, again, just go mind control one of them. You've shown that you can do it, and very, very quickly. So
Yeah.
that would solve all of your problems immediately.
And Leomon's quite a strong Digimon. Like his adult level, same as the others. So I'm not sure why he can't just control the chosen children's adult level Digimon.
And I have no idea why that is. And I think the English does a little bit better job addressing what's going on. The Devimon is more cautious in English. He says out loud, like, why hasn't the Patamon evolved? Which I don't think is mentioned in Japanese. Which means he's more observant. He's kind of figuring out what's happening. Maybe he thinks there's a trick that's like afoot, which would make sense why he's not joining the fight then.
Or maybe he knows.
He knows what?
He knows that like Patamon evolving would be very dangerous to him.
Maybe, I wouldn't know. I mean, I imagine the angel and the demon.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, angels and demons, they're not good for each other.
Okay. I don't really know what actually happens later, though, so I'm just postulating and guessing. And the other thing is that Leomon, there's a throwaway line later on when Leomon is attacking somebody, and we'll get there, but Devimon yells, like, what are you waiting for? Because it's taking really long time for him to stab a defenseless child, which is one of those moments you go, well, why didn't you just do it? You would have solved the problem. Well, it implies that Leomon still has resistance inside, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's why he's probably not fighting as best as he could. And so it implies a good reason. Maybe I'm reading into it too much. That's entirely possible. It's totally possible. I'm giving it too much credit. But I think the English does a better job of making it clear why some of the things are happening, whereas I think the Japanese is really arbitrary.
I guess because in the English version, they're trying to spell everything out for the kids.
Well,
like, that they sort of play the role of Captain Obvious sometimes.
There's parts of that, but there's the other side of it, which is if you don't explain anything, the villain looks like a huge idiot. And I think the villain ended up in the Japanese kind of looking like a giant idiot. Because, look, okay, you know what? We'll get there. When he starts monologuing at the end, we'll get there. So, yeah, the rocks fall, only the bad guys die, or at least they leave.
And then the kids continue walking. They come across this mansion, and Tai says that this is too good to be true. And I'm like, well, yeah, yes.
A little bit. But hey, they've found other stuff before.
Yeah, like the trolley, and that turned out relatively fine, except Digimon. We have a no dialogue, but for some reason they decided to fill it. So in the English version, Mimi says,
I hope they have a dress shop. I've never worn the same thing 2 days in a row before.
Let's take a nap later.
Isn't this like the 4th day on the island?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
In which she's been wearing the same thing every day?
Well, we've seen I think we've seen 2 nights elapse, 3 including the one that they're about to have.
But they have a
So-
line where they mention this is the 5th night.
Yeah,
Maybe that's the next episode. That would make this the 4th night.
yep. So yeah, then when they go in, now something I noticed that Joe's usually the nervous one, the one who says, "This is a bad idea. Can we go away, guys?" Joe is actually the least hesitant. He actually is like super on board with this mansion idea, like, which is kind of different from the way he's been. Like, usually he's been like, "Oh, can we not do this, guys? This is a bad idea. Let's not do this."
He's fooled by the most hilarious pretense and trap ever of there's a picture of an angel, hence nothing bad can happen.
Yep.
And he's like, that's evidence that that no evil people can be here, because why would they have a picture of an angel?
Oh, definitely. But like before he sees the angel, even he's like really trusting.
I guess it only occurred to me right now of the dramatic irony of Patamon asking what an angel is.
Yeah, this episode's pretty good for foreshadowing. They also come to another part where if you count the beds,
Yes, I was going to mention that.
yeah,
There's one bed that's empty on the girl's side.
yeah. So
Foreshadowing.
wonder what's gonna happen there. But yeah, so this episode's like I like this episode because of the foreshadowing. Anyway, so they then go to the baths, and they go to the boys' side and the girls' side, and something that's definitely different in the English version is that, well, in the Japanese version, we have Joe coming in very nervous and saying, "Oh, I don't really want to go in," and Yamato says, "Oh, I don't really trust someone who doesn't want to show everything in a boys only bath." So then they sort of like gang up on him and strip him of his towel, and but in the English version, like, he's just sort of convinced after a while to come in. There's no like him having to be convinced of by Yamato and Tai. He just sort of goes, "Oh, okay, I'm just gonna go in. Oh yeah, that's nice." Like, they just sort of change that. Also, Tentamon doesn't offer to electrocute the water in the English version. In the English version, he says, I can just shed my skin," and then Izzy says, "Oh, I can't do that." But in the Japanese version, he says, "I can electrocute the water."
Right, he's like, yeah, would that be helpful? Kosho's like, no, please,
Yep.
please don't electrocute us.
Right.
Gabumon's outside being super embarrassed because he doesn't want to take his fur
Yeah,
off.
and I think that's so cute when like Government's being all blushing and cute because he doesn't want to go in the water.
How does he blush through his fur?
I don't know. But anyway, so we go over to the girls' side, and Goemon's there, being a pervert, and Palmon like kicks him over, and he lands on Joe's head, and you see Joe butt.
There's a bit in the English here where I don't know if the voice acting they just screwed up or if I'm not hearing it correctly, but I swear they called him Gabumon instead of Gomamon when he was swimming. Like Piamon just gets it wrong,
yeah.
I think.
I didn't notice that. Maybe.
It's possible just because there's other noise going on at the same time that I can't hear it correctly, but I went back 3 times and I go, that sounds more like Gabu than Goma.
Yeah, but I didn't notice that. But like, maybe I know mistakes
also-
can be made.
Why? Like, what? Okay, what's around that Gomamon would be seeing that he shouldn't be seeing, right? He doesn't have a human frame of reference. So the human body naked to him, it doesn't matter which side he's on. It's all new. He has no feelings towards it.
It's basically just like, I get changed in the room with my my very adorable little dog.
Oh, yeah, like Gomamon
Yeah.
doesn't have any frame of reference, and the females, like people, he has no idea. Like he doesn't know what parents are. So how can he know? How can he feel anything about a naked like girl? And as far as the Digimon go, they're all naked all the time.
Except for Gabumon.
Except for Gabumon, but he's not in that bath.
Mm.
So I don't understand what the reaction is about. I get it's for like a comedy bit, but I imagine that Gomamon should have been really confused, going, "Why would they do that? Why would they throw me out?"
Yeah, that's a good point.
Also, I only just realized now that girls all got girl Digimon and boys all got boy Digimon.
Yep.
Completely arbitrarily, I imagine.
Mm.
All right.
Well, there is a character in another season who is a girl and has a male Digimon. Like, it does happen.
They must be evil.
And there is a throwaway line in season 3 in the English version that Digimon don't have gender. Just sort of like they identify as whatever they identify as, and some Digimon are like, like male presenting.
But then they throw them out of bathrooms.
They eat some dinner and they're pretty happy, and some of them are either going to be.
This is another situation where the bad guy is just a huge idiot. Where he's like, yeah, it's illusion food. It's not real. Why don't you just poison them?
Because it's illusion food. It's not real.
You could just make real food and just
Oh.
straight poison them. They're
Yeah.
all stupid enough to eat it.
Good point. They all talk about it being poisoned anyway, and they still eat it.
I feel like this seems like okay. And if it's not a poison that kills you immediately, it kills you like in an hour. They all would have died, just all of them. And the bad guy, no clue. Just my plan is to sneak in later. And even though I can walk through walls, I will walk through the whole house before getting to the bedroom.
Yeah. So what I like about this episode is we kind of see them sort of relaxing and letting their hair down for the first time, which is good for character development. So yeah, they go to bed, and Devimon starts talking, and he says that they're foolish for falling for such an obvious ploy.
And they
And
are.
I'm like, yeah, they totally are. Like, it's very obvious. Like, where is all this food coming from? Like you wouldn't have a banquet like in the digital world.
But
unless it's
also,
prepared by someone.
doesn't that beg the question of if this is an obvious ploy that he can't believe they fell for, how many like plan B and C's did he have for if they didn't fall for this? Or was this his whole plan of like, oh god, I hope this works. I hope they're stupid enough to fall for it because I don't have another plan.
So we see that Taichi and Agumon are walking towards the bathroom, and they have sort of an exchange about being scared of the dark, which I find quite cute. So they go to the toilet, and in the Japanese version, they just start talking about like poo and farting.
Oh,
And
it's so painful, actually.
but in the English version, they're just talking about Ogumon, and then Leomon and Devimon, and so then we see that Ogumon's in the stall over, and he's laughing in the English version.
Well, because I mean, it's all fart jokes in Japanese, and he's trying to not die from the smell.
Yeah, that's definitely what's happening in the Japanese version, and not laughing at Agumon and Taichi not knowing that they're there.
And I mean, look, maybe it's because I'm a Western audience and it was changed for Western audiences, but I kind of prefer that they didn't just spend a whole scene on Agumon just pooping so hard that it destroyed this guy next to him. And instead, and like, Agumon has a face that's always smiling, so it kind of makes sense that he wouldn't be super in control of himself and would be entertained by the fact that they don't know that he's around. And then jump to violence. Like, all that stuff makes sense. So I kind of prefer them not just having a poop joke minute.
Yeah, but I think Japanese people find that poop jokes and toilet humor is quite funny.
Yeah. So that's a cultural difference that I feel when watching this. And that's, you know what, they did the best they could with the animation that they had. Because Agumon's thing is, in the second one, is that not that he has to go in the English, is that he doesn't actually have to go to the bathroom. He's just looking out for Tai, and that's cute. I like that. But then you can see him like still struggling to poop because the animation is that.
So then I think Ogumon jumps out of the stall.
He does. He goes and attacks them, kind of.
Yeah, and he goes and attacks them. So
Goes out onto the balcony, sees Devimon for the first time. Devimon just starts talking to him, and then dissipates the house. Then everyone wakes up, and he comes through the angel picture because dramatic irony.
Yeah, and they say, "Oh, I guess we fell for a ploy."
And Agumon knows exactly who he is, and he apparently invented nightmares. I think that's a figure of speech in English. I don't think he actually invented nightmares. But if that was the case, that would be awesome. So there was a question, I think it was last week, of like, if you could have a Digimon, who would it be? I would have Devimon. He'd be the sickest.
I used to kind of want him as a partner. I thought he would be cool. Like, I went through my scene, like, 14-year-old self, and I was like, yeah. Devimon. I want to be a baddie.
He is very late 90s goth.
Yeah.
With the straps and his legs being boots
and
all that. But he's also easily the most powerful thing on the screen. He's just kind of stupid. So if he had like a good guiding force with him, he could actually be good at his job.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you should kind of just, make their partners evil. Done. Episode 8, the end.
So, I didn't think this was super clear. Maybe I just missed it. In Japanese, well, in English, he says specifically, you guys all worked well together as a team, so I'm going to split you up so you can't do that. That's one of his bits of his plan.
Hmm.
But I don't think he ever says that in Japanese. I think the animation just kind of implies they're going in different directions, but it's not clear. But he's just talking about separating the island.
Yeah,
Does he actually say he's going to separate them specifically?
I think that's in the Japanese version.
They do mention it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I must have just missed it. Alright, so I didn't get that bit. But yeah, in Japanese, he focuses a lot on about splitting up the island and everything. In English, however, when and he just monologues about his whole plan to, and he says, "You're the chosen children." Taichi goes, "I have no idea what that is." He goes, "But you are, so you're chosen children. Whatever, I'm gonna kill you now because I'm evil." And in English, he goes, "You can't fool me with this act of just being, little children's. I know who you are, Digidestined, and I know your whole act. I know everything you're doing." So he's he's thinking intelligently. He's giving them way too much credit because they are actually just stupid kids.
Mm.
But he's actually thinking about it, so his actions make slightly more sense. Why he's not just going in and murdering them all or taking over their guys, because he thinks something is up. He thinks that they're tricking him somehow, and that
Yeah.
he's outthinking them.
Well, like we do know that he's probably been watching them for a while, and he's seen them like beat out the black gears of the other Digimon. So maybe he just is giving them credit from what he's seen.
So yeah, he'd have to be watching them but not listening to them.
Yeah.
Because if you ever heard Mei Mei speak, he
Yeah.
would instantly kill all of them. Uh, oh, I also noticed that the show is obviously a lot less violent in Japanese. Leomon talks about just killing them.
Yeah, and it's
Just
just changed to "I want the children."
yeah, it's to more capturing them, which is obviously a much more Western thing to do in kids shows. But weirdly enough, Leomon in English has a lot more capacity of mind, puts together like whole sentences, and that sound like he has emotion to them,
Mm.
which is weird because it's more of a compulsion to do a thing rather than in Japanese he's more of a zombie, where he's like, kill all children,
Mm.
uh, which is weird because when it does appear that he's slowing down because he's having internal conflict and not just murdering Tai with that giant knife,
Yeah.
which again, show over. Like you've just murdered one of the children on screen instantly. He was defenseless. It should have been over.
Yeah, but then the Digivice, like,
Actually, better question.
yeah,
Why did he even make Leomon do it? Couldn't he just go up and like cut his face?
maybe he likes being in control more than he likes doing things.
Maybe.
But so yeah, we see the Digivice doing something that we haven't actually seen it do much except for like helping the partners digivolve. But now we actually see it having it sort of an attack of its own.
So yeah, the Game Boy saves the day.
Hmm.
So did it like fell out of his bed or something?
Yeah, his bed fell down next to him, and the Digivice fell out of there and fell to Leomon's feet and glowed at him.
That's super lucky. Like no one did anything. He was
Yeah, it's a
just
good
really
coincidence.
lucky.
Yeah.
What a good lesson to teach kids. If you're going to die, just hope and be lucky, but don't do anything.
Hmm.
In English, for whatever reason, they say that the light drove out a black gear, but there's no black gear.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, because it's definitely like shown that he's turned evil by Devimon's claw.
Yeah, it's like a specific attack that they in Japanese describe as like putting darkness in your heart or something.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot like the teddy bear mon.
Mm.
This is very similar. Like he's like a mind control attack, but in this one, I guess they didn't want to explain that in English, or they wanted the black gears to be more thematically prevalent.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, it's a black gear, even though you never see a gear at all. You see tons of them in the episode. But
Yeah, you see the mountain open up, and all of a sudden there being all the gears.
um, yeah, and there's a discussion of the other side of the ocean, but not what's there.
Yeah, or if there are any other islands there.
Yeah, I wonder what's up with that. I don't really know yet, and it doesn't show up in the next episode either. I hope it's interesting.
Yeah. So then they fly off, and they're just sort of said, "Oh, the chosen children are separated and go off to different places." What did you think of this episode as a newbie to Digimon? Did you enjoy the fact that they were finally starting to put in some more plot?
I did, and I think the episode generally is quite good. You've established a villain, and he seems quite evil. Uh, his motivation for being evil is that he wants to rule the world, which is not usually a particularly amazing motivation, except that it's a weird world in which he can do that without having much infrastructure in place. He just does it with gears. So that's fine. That seems reasonable. You've established a kind of hero, I don't know, character who gets mind controlled. That is probably an interesting plot in the future. I appreciate the Warhammer orcs. Big fan. The only problem, and as I will not be getting over, is that this villain is a moron who. It's hard to take any villain seriously when they could easily fix their problem and they just don't, either because they don't have the presence of mind to do so, or because it never occurred to them.
Hmm.
He's a legitimate villain, and I like his design. I like what he does a lot. I just, oh god, he's just a huge idiot.
Yeah, but like we are only 8 episodes in, so do you think that he's going to be the big bad for the rest of the season?
Of this season?
Yeah, as in of Digimon Adventure, the 54 episodes.
Okay. So, I'm gonna say no, but only because I don't feel like. Well, okay, I'm gonna say I hope the answer is no, because I don't feel like that he could hold up 54 episodes of being a bad guy. I really hope there's more going on. I want there to be. I don't want Devimon to just be sitting on a mountain the whole season for the next. What's the
I think it's
40?
54.
What's the next 46
Yeah.
episodes from just be sitting on a mountain going, haha, I'm evil, until they beat him? Like, that would be really boring. Also, it kind of implies, and maybe I'm just reading into it too much, at the beginning, the title episode of him being the messenger of darkness implies that he's not the main bad guy. Every possibility, I'm reading into that too much.
That's all right. So, the changes that you noticed, did you think they were justified?
As I said, I think that his thought process in English made a lot more sense. At least he presented it as making more sense.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about maybe they were showing and not telling in Japanese, but I didn't feel like they showed it, so I was happy that it was said. And also they took out the massive fart joke part, which I was very appreciative of. Otherwise, I don't think the changes were quite massive. Those were the main
Yeah, like
differences.
the mild nudity, I guess, was taken out because they thought that might be a bit too much for kids.
It's true. That was a bit odd. I mean, maybe that's another. Sometimes the show, you just get this feeling something very culturally Japanese is happening, and I don't have the frame of reference to appreciate this at all.
Mm. Like the only change that I really didn't think was justified was Mimi's 2 lines that she had about the first line being "My gloves don't go with the dress," and the second line being "I hope they have a dress shop." I don't think either of those were necessary to the plot.
It's true, but if she didn't have those lines, she literally would have said nothing the whole episode.
Well, no, because the first line was her, saying, "Oh, I don't know what we're gonna do now. Like, this is bad." Like that line should have still stayed.
That makes sense. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, they should just give her better lines.
Yeah.
Did Sora actually have any lines?
Yeah, she had a few about the map, and she had a
Right,
few
yeah.
in the in the
She
bath, and
called Ty out for being a crap
yeah,
drawer.
a bad draw
Drawist?
artist.
Oh, okay, I guess that's the word.
Anyway, so and she also had the lines regarding the food, and when they first looked in, she was actually quite hesitant to trust any of this going on.
I'm surprised it wasn't Mimi who jumped into it immediately, because we've already displayed that her character does that with the drink machines.
Mm.
That she's really willing to just take anything that shows up and be like, seems good. That said, maybe she learned. Maybe she thought there were Numamon in the food.
Hmm.
That would scare me if I thought that was the case. Oh god.
Hmm.
The guacamole. It's Noom sludge.
Sub-Zero Ice Punch, like, I didn't quite enjoy this episode. Maybe it was just because I didn't enjoy it as much as the previous episode, being the evil shows his face. But this episode I didn't like as much. Like, I mean, it had important like character development and it showed a relationship between two of the characters. But I don't know. I just didn't like it as much.
Well, that's because I think half the episode is fighting, first of all,
Mhm.
and second, yeah, you've got we've reduced the cast down to a third, well, less than a third.
Yeah.
Uh, and you notice stuff immediately. Like Taichi is a really weird guy who doesn't have his thought process is really weird. Like right at the beginning in Japanese, he's immediately concerned about Leomon first, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I also kind of hope my friends are okay."
Yeah.
Um, he wanders around. There's a funny moment where he takes his shirt and pants out of the snow. Don't know how they got there, but who cares? And then Agumon lights them on fire.
The line in the Japanese version is just like, "Okay, hold out your shirt, baby flame." But in the English version, he says,
Don't worry, I can give you the latest hot look.
I like that.
Also, I noticed something. After Agumon sets fire to Tai's clothes, that they look quite burned. But then in the next scene, when he's wearing them, they're magically not burned.
It's okay. Agumon's also really good at stitching things with his little T-Rex arms.
Yeah, and cleaning them.
Yeah, perfect.
And then drying them again.
Oh, obviously, you can dry them. We've established that.
So then Frigimon comes up, or
Oh.
Yukiduramon.
Yeah, Yukidarumon, aka Snowbearmon, which it's really cute. I like this one. He's super adorable. Do you know what he said? Like, what is his attack in Japanese?
Zetai something something.
Does that mean anything?
Zetai means absolutely.
Oh, maybe so it would be like absolute cold or absolute zero, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I like that then. So yeah, so he just punches a lot. He's got a black ear in him. They fight. So there's a plan to throw Agumon at him to get the gear out, which is a terrible plan.
Yeah.
Because you can immediately see that Agumon's like 2/3 of Tai's size at least.
Yeah.
And he's probably quite a lot denser because, he's
a dinosaur.
He's a thick dinosaur who's all muscle and flamethrower. And so obviously he struggles to get him up and just you've got this weird stupid comedy moment while they're about to die. And then I don't know, the Snowbearmon is an idiot, buries himself. And then there's a soccer ball plan.
Yeah, and he kicks his Digimon.
It's a really good plan, guys. What if I just kick him?
And also, he seems to fly in the air like a ball. So, like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem physically possible.
Yeah, the physics of the situation's a bit messed up.
Like, it just looks weird.
He must weigh about as much as a soccer ball does, but we've just shown that he doesn't.
Yeah, like, he definitely would be like a...
Like, at most, he should have rolled, like, twice, and then just sat up and had, like, a bruised ass.
Yeah, and that would have been funny, but I guess they probably would have also died from Darumon.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised it took this long of the show for us to get more of Tai as a soccer guy.
Yeah.
And he only really mentions it once. I thought it'd be a whole thing. I thought he'd be like, yeah, I'm the captain of my team, and we're going to the championships, and man, I really like soccer. You know they call it football in Britain? That's stupid though, it's called soccer, because I'm Japanese. Yeah, congratulations on the restraint there, I guess, since they couldn't pull off the same restraint with the movie. And yeah, the change the name from Frigimon to from Yukidarumon to Frigimon makes a lot of sense. But
yeah, because it's quite hard to say.
it begs the question why they didn't change the other like really Japanese names like Kuwagamon and Ikakumon. Like they're not as hard, but they're still drastically Japanese.
Yeah, but they're not hard to say. Like I think that's the main reason. I don't think they wanted to change that many names. Like in Pokemon, they pretty much changed all the names, and it's really annoying.
So they didn't want to change the names, but they're really happy with just changing all of like the characters, especially Mimi.
Yeah, like I don't know. Maybe they wanted it to seem similar in the fact that they've got similar names. Like they didn't want to translate the names too much.
I guess once you've already got Mon in the name, it doesn't need translating as much.
Like, what do you call Kuwagamon? Red Beetlemon.
Red Baron Mon, I've already put it
Good
forward.
point. Ikakumon, kind of fluffy Walrusmon.
Perfect. I would ride Fluffy Walrus Mon for days. It would be very comfortable.
Part Gomamon, Dog Seal Mon.
With Mohawk Mon.
Mohawkmon.
So you cut over to Gabumon and Yamato,
Yep.
and they're freezing because it's snowing, and they find a cave and they do their whole survival thing. Maybe I'm stupid, but I never really thought of Gabumon's thing as like fire because it's blue, but no, it's totally fire.
You can have blue fire.
You can, and I thought about it. I'm like, that inherently means that his fire is way hotter than Agumon's, which means he's way better. Or
Oh,
it's
definitely.
it's a gas fire.
He's definitely better.
Yeah,
it could be a gas fire.
And they have this whole bit where you gotta warm Matt up. He's got a cold. He's gonna die. And in Japanese, Gabumon kind of goes, "All right, there's no one around. No one will see me. Oh, okay." And he takes his fur off, which I guess kills my theory about it being a symbiote. Right?
Yeah, and also when you see him putting it down, we see feet on the fur. Now I'm not sure if this is the animators forgetting, but that sort of insinuates that the feet that we see on Gabumon aren't actually his feet, because that coat definitely has feet attached to it. Also,
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, in the English version, I noticed that Gabumon says,
Naked Digimon. Here you go, my friend.
Yeah, that's really weird, actually, isn't it? Because
I thought it was cute.
No, it's cute and all, but if he doesn't care as much about him taking his fur off in the English, like he's actually kind of excited about it. And that begs the question, why is he embarrassed to be naked in the episode just before this one? And I mean, also, why is he embarrassed to be naked if naked for him is just showing half of his face and his back? It's a bit weird. Or I guess taking off his feet as well.
Also, he has human hands. Like, when you look at whenever he has the hands, like, they're quite humanoid hands.
Yeah. Well, we've seen the picture of what he looks
Yeah,
like.
we've seen the picture.
I still really like my theory.
Oh yeah, I like your theory too.
Because here's the thing. Now that my theory's busted, that begs a lot of questions about what's going on with Gabumon, which I'm sure have been asked over and over again, but I'm really interested. Which is, whose fur is he wearing? Is there a Digimon out there that has this fur that he killed? Are all Gabumon embarrassed like this, or just this one? So do they all have to get fur? Do they all get fur from the same place, or do they get it from different Digimon? Are they just murdering Digimon left and right for their fur? If the fur gets ruined, does he have to kill another one? Does he have to kill the same one, or does he have to kill a different one? Who gave him a knife to skin different Digimon because he doesn't have claws like Agumon does? It's really confusing. Was he born with this? I mean, he evolved with it on, but he can take it off, so it's not technically part of him. Why would he evolve into the fur that he can just take off?
Maybe it's from like a parent that he, like, this. The same with the Cubone's mask.
The Cubone's mask is like its mom that died.
Yeah, so maybe it's the same sort of thing. It's from the Garurumon mum.
Okay, what if the Garurumon mom had like 2 kids?
What if the Cubone mum had 2 kids?
It's also a really good question. But also,
Yeah.
Garurumon is way bigger than Gabumon, so its fur wouldn't fit like that unless I guess you shrunk it in the wash.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Or in the oven, like you used to do to like chip packets. You ever do that?
No,
You can shrink them in the oven into like.
never done that.
It's awesome. Anyway, so just very simply, Gabumon makes no sense at all. There's too many questions. He acts super weird. His motivation is completely unclear. It doesn't make any sense.
Later on in the morning, Matt's better and Gabumon develops a cold. So then he goes, oh, we forgot a part.
Yeah, what did we miss?
Yeah, during the night, we see a scary looking Digimon like looking onto the cave. So the next morning, we see that Matt's better, and Gabumon has now developed a cold.
Okay, new questions about the way Digimons work. Why would a disease that affects Yamato affect Gabumon?
I
Because
just thought he got it because he was like without his coat for the night and just got sick from being cold.
don't they say that he got it from Matt?
Yeah, they do, but I don't think that's how
You
that
just
works.
think they're wrong.
Yeah, I just think they're wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable.
Anyway, so they go outside and they see that Tai and Agumon and Frigimon are there.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I guess he's walking with Tai, but you'd think he'd be a lot more cautious of like, oh God, it's a big thing. Also, mind control is kind of going around,
Yeah.
and you'd think that they'd start worrying about that at all. Oh well. And yeah, they meet up, and
And
they.
then they get into an argument and they start just beating up each other.
Well, here's the
So,
thing.
yep.
Yamato is very. He has a very reasonable goal, and I think he has his stance makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, because he's worried about TK.
But he goes about it in a really unreasonable way.
Yeah, and also when he's running away, we notice that they repeat his running animation for some
Oh
reason.
my God, I'm glad you noticed that as well. Like,
And
it's the same animation reel like 3 times.
yeah, and I don't know, that just looked weird. I don't know what they were trying to aim for at all, but it was so. So then Tai grabs him and they start fighting, and then they remove a bit of footage, which is when Tai and Matt are punching each other in the face a lot, and they remove that for the English version.
Yeah, I'm like, commence the face punching. It's like it's not brutal. Brutal's not the right word, but it's really direct.
Yeah,
It's surprising to see just straight face punching, and I wasn't surprised to see it edited out.
yeah, me neither. I don't have a lot of notes for this episode.
It's true, me neither. There was not a lot changed.
Yeah, so they fight. They almost roll off a cliff. Mojimon shows up, and Frigimon,
Emojimon.
Frigimon and Mojimon start fighting. Agumon and Gabumon evolve. Something I noticed that was really cute is Mojimon throws his bone boomerang, his bonerang. That sounds odd. And Garurumon catches it in his mouth, and it's so cute.
The perfect defense is
Yeah, he becomes
getting
a
a
dog.
dog to catch the bird. Well, he's a dog.
Yeah, it's so cute. And
Have you noticed? But before the big Myojimon fight,
yeah,
Oh no, wait, it's at this point actually. So
yeah,
where we are, Icicle Rod, whatever Myojimon's attack is, marks the 3rd time in the series that a Digimon has stuck something into a cliff and made kids fall down a cliff.
yeah.
This
It
is
happens.
This is the 3rd time in 8 episodes, 9 episodes, which means that by the end of a 54 episode series, we should expect this to happen at least 18 times at this rate. There's a lot of cliffs. And that, I wouldn't be shocked if that happened.
Mm.
That seems to be the way they really like getting kids to places. Just throw them down a cliff.
Yeah.
And they'll end up where you need them to go.
So like this episode didn't have that many changes in it. That's what I noticed. Like besides the face punching and the addition of Hihi naked Digimon, and the Agumon giving Tai a hot look, that's the only like this episode was not heavily changed. Maybe it's because they didn't have Mimi to completely ruin.
It's true. I mean, the characters, you've only got 2 characters. So, and they don't even interact for half the show. Like the first half of the thing, you've got Tai just walking around talking to a bear with no mouth, which is, I imagine, a dub writer's dream of you can just put anything here.
Yeah, and he's called Frosty the Snowmon by
Oh,
Matt.
that's a great one.
Like that's another random addition.
That was one of the better stupid Digimon jokes.
Yeah, I rather liked it.
But yeah, most things don't change at all. The ending, I think, was completely nonsensical, which is we find the Black Ears in the island. All right,
Yeah.
so the Black Ears are moving the island. So First of all, like, is there a motor underneath the island that's making it move? It doesn't matter because it's digital. But if you break the gears, and they broke them, how come they start going backwards? Because they're broken. They
It's a
can't
cartoon,
move
I guess.
backwards.
So, what did you think of this episode as someone who's new to Digimon?
There was a lot of fighting, and I mean, I guess it's not really what you want from this. Well, okay, it's not really what I want from this. I'm sure from kids love it. I'm sure the kids are like, yeah, yeah, Digimon fighting. But I don't know. So I think that took a lot of time, and I feel like the Digimon fighting is almost obligatory. Around what is a story about surviving in a harsh, icy wasteland of Digi Ice, and that can be interesting. Uh, Ty's dealing with his clothes, and that was interesting. Uh, then he and Matt had this weird argument where it's hard to take either one of their sides. And I don't know what the main fandom's reaction is, but Ty seems like a jerk because he's like, I just want to know where we're going. Our friends will be fine. Let's just leave them, which is obviously not the best stance. But Matt's response is, "We're getting our friends back. I'm gonna take a boat through this icy water that I'll die in." And then they punch each other in the face. And especially in Japanese, because they actually include all the face punching, it's really weird. Because Matt punches Ty, then Ty's like, Ty doesn't have like a reasonable reaction of trying to calm him down. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna punch you right back, and let's just go."
Hmm.
Uh, it's a setup. Like, I guess that's what the episode is. It feels really I'm trying to figure out what the word is I'm trying to imagine here, but it feels like it's between episodes. It doesn't feel like exactly filler because
Yeah,
it's necessary and it
yeah.
puts the plot forward where they end up going back towards the mountain. Although, if they're getting back towards the mountain and their friends are on the other islands moving away from the mountain, aren't they ending up further away from their friends?
Yeah.
I guess what would be really good, and I know it won't happen, but it would be really good if next episode they arrive on the island and all their friends are just getting there themselves. Like, don't even show how they do it. I'm sure that's what the next 5 or 6 episodes is just move camera between all the different weird islands they're all on and show how they all reverse them. That's probably what it is my guess, because it'll be a replay of the pattern from the first couple of at the beginning of the season. But I'd love it if they get there, Mimi's already there, and they're like, "What happened?" She's like, "Oh yeah, we beat up a giant Digimon. It was cool. Now we're here."
So, as we discussed, there weren't many changes, but the changes that there were, did you think they were justified?
I think taking the punching out might have actually devalued the emotion of the moment. Yeah, it's weird. Like, it might be an immature reaction to just punch him straight back,
Mm.
but there were legitimate emotions going on there, and I think
Yeah, it did make it seem a lot more serious than they're just rolling around.
they just made kind of a little bit of a tussle,
Yeah.
a little bit of a kerfuffle, rather than fisticuffs. Uh, oh, and the one change I loved, which I thought was great, was the English Frigimon when he's just talking. He's like from Brooklyn, and every story revolves around Sub-Zero Ice Punch. He loves saying it. He's so
Yeah.
excited. He's like, "Oh yeah, so I met this girl, then I gave her the Sub-Zero Ice Punch."
And he also sounds like Frosty the Snowman.
I wouldn't know. What does Frosty the Snowman sound like?
Like that.
Okay, I've never seen any piece of media with Frosty the Snowman in it.
Anyway, so oh yeah, that's right. You don't celebrate Christmas.
No, I don't. Christmas is a
Oh, I'm
weird
so
holiday.
sorry. I forgot that.
How?
I don't know. I really like Christmas.
No, I've never had it.
Yes, you've had Christmas with me.
Kind of. I was
You've
at
had
your
Christmas at my house.
I was at your Christmas. I've never had my Christmas. That doesn't exist.
Oh.
My Christmas was being in the Gold Coast and going to the beach and then pretending that Christmas wasn't happening.
Well, you get jam donuts.
Yeah, I could go get one of those right now if I really wanted.
Yeah, but they're special.
What? They're called ponchkas.
I didn't know that. I just know what they taste like.
They're pretty good.
Anyway, so which episode is better?
Oh, Evil shows his face.
Yeah, definitely.
More stuff goes on in it. Yeah, Devimon's a moron, but at least that can be entertaining.
Yeah, I guess this episode was more of a break from the sudden whoosh of plot that we just had.
Yeah, it's weird when the primary enemy in this episode, yeah, they fought two Digimon, but the primary enemy was the weather.
Yeah.
Whereas in the other episode, there was a bad guy who planned to murder them badly. He very badly planned to murder them when he could just walk in and do it personally. But be that as it may, at least there was menace rather than just being attacked by a bear and a caveman.
Yeah. So with the Digimon that we met this episode, in these 2 episodes, Mojimon, Frigimon, Devimon, Leomon, and Ogremon, what did you think about their designs?
Okay, step 1. Devimon's design is awesome. He's super creepy with his ridiculously long arms. He is a weird, like, early 2000s goth, but it's handled well enough where he looks inhuman, and I'm wondering if his face is like a hood that you can pull back and he has like a regular face. But either way, it's very cool. I like that. Leomon doesn't look like he fits in this story. He looks like he should be from like a Redwall book. I don't know what he's doing here, but it's like the Terminator, where you've got Digimon are like animal based primarily, animal or plant or naturally based or something. Like Unimon is just a horse, but this is a man with a mane, and it seems really weird. It's also, yeah, it's just really weird. I don't know what's up with him. What's his name? Ogremon is really cool. I like the orcs from Warhammer, so I like him. He's just green and angry, and if he shouted "Wog," I'd be into that. Myojimon looks like crap. He's not interesting at all. He's just a caveman. He has a bone boomerang, I guess. And Frigimon is adorable, and I like the English version freaking out about Sub-Zero Ice Punch. But as a design, he's just, I guess, like, he's a good guy, so that's fine. He's just cute. Also, he doesn't seem to punch things very hard. Like when he punches the post boxes, his fist just stops and then it just freezes. I feel like his attack is super inefficient.
Yeah.
The Waybearer is like a ray or a projectile of some kind. Alright, join us for the next episode of Steins Gate, the Dancing Digimon.
Or the Dancing Ghosts, Bakemon, and Digibaby Boom, Adventure, Patamon and I.
I'm really looking forward to that episode of Steins Gate.
If you want to keep updated with us on social media, we're at TranslationMon on Twitter and Lost in TranslationMon on Facebook and Tumblr. We'd really appreciate it if you gave us a review on iTunes just to help get the word out. Listen in next week for more Digitude.
Let's kick it off. Show them all the things we can do. Let's kick it off. And now and not tomorrow. Let's kick it off. 'Cause I ain't seen the last of me and you. Let's kick it off together.
Yeah, should we get back on the
Okay, sure, back to the show.
Digi Road?
Oh, no, I don't like the Digi Road. Can I get off the Digi Road?